In this video, we are going to talk about Monero, some of its recent price action, the important support and resistance areas, and where we can expect the price of Monero to go in the next few days and weeks. So we will be looking at the weekly chart, and what you can see here is that Monero has been continuously grinding up for a few years now. The price structure of Monero in the last couple of years has been very unique, with it just consistently creating higher highs and higher lows, and continuing to trend higher, even during some times when the entire crypto market was performing poorly. Monero has been holding on quite strongly, with it quite recently, back in January of this year, getting a very major high, going all the way up to nearly $800 and creating a new all-time high in a time when most of the crypto market was actually struggling a lot. Bitcoin was actually dumping very significantly back in late 2025 and early 2026, but Monero actually continued to rally much further. And currently Monero is still continuing to rally. It is significantly lower than where it was at the all-time high, around 50% down from it at $400, but it is still holding onto some of its support areas and continuing to be in an overall uptrend. It is currently at a pretty important resistance area at around $400. We've seen Monero get rejected at this area 2 times very significantly. One was pretty recent back in May of this year. It got rejected off of it and continued to dump for a few weeks, and another time was even more significant back in May of 2025, and it also has this significant support area right below it at $300. This is also a round number, so this behaves as a pretty strong area of support, both on the price structure, on the chart, and also psychologically, similarly to the area of $400, although noticed clearly it did already cross above $400. Also guys, if you're enjoying these videos and you want more updates about Monero as well as other altcoins and the rest of the crypto market in general, make sure to subscribe. It helps the channel way more than you know, and it allows me to continue making these videos. So if you're getting any value from these updates, make sure to subscribe. And now let's continue with the analysis of Monero. So as I said before, we can see that since about early 2024, Monero has been in a pretty clear uptrend. It has been in some sort of an uptrending channel right here, and it is continuing to create higher lows as well as higher highs. It did more recently create a lower high following its all-time high, and right now we are actually at a pretty important decision point whether Monero can actually break above this recent high and continue with its general uptrending structure and continuing to create higher highs, or if it will actually get rejected here and create another lower high. So this is something that we will need to look into in the next couple of weeks. And of course, I will keep updating you guys as things unfold, so make sure to subscribe to not miss that out. But the structure of higher lows does seem to be intact still, although it does seem like the momentum of the uptrend by Monero is slowing down, at least in the last few months since its all-time high. In general, with the rest of the altcoin market, I'm quite pessimistic at the moment. I think that despite some recent rallies, we are still in a bear market. Bitcoin is still very clearly in a downtrend, and I would expect it to continue to be in a bear market for at least a few more months and eventually break down below 60k and create new lows for this bear market. And once that happens, I would expect the vast majority of the altcoin market to continue to dump and continue to go much further down. Of course, there can be some exceptions, and I definitely think that Monero has some chances of being one of those exceptions. Monero is actually performing very well for a while now, and it is one of the absolutely strongest looking altcoins across the entire crypto market, and its structure is actually looking quite promising. Really, Monero has been in a very consistent, strong uptrend from all the way back in 2014. It is one of the only altcoins that have been performing so well for so long. Really, I don't know what other altcoin does that. The structure of Monero is looking so strong. Really, the only other comparable coin is Bitcoin itself. Of course, the highs by Bitcoin have been more significant than Monero, but still, the price structure by Monero is looking incredibly impressive, and the fact that it created a major new all-time high during a period where most of the crypto market was actually struggling quite a lot shows a lot about the strength of Monero. The price structure by Monero is honestly looking stronger than even a coin like Ethereum. Even in the long term, this is incredibly impressive. And of course, it is not guaranteed to continue to be that way whatsoever, but really in the long term, I can say that I would bet against Monero. It is very consistently one of the absolute best performers in the entire crypto market. And as I said, despite me being pessimistic about altcoins as a whole, I definitely can't rule out Monero continuing to perform well going further into 2026. In general, with the rest of the crypto market, specifically with Bitcoin, I do think that it is possible for it to get a bit of a rally all the way up to around 70, maybe 75k. But as I said, I still think that we are in a bear market, and regardless of what happens in the short term, I would expect it to eventually continue to head lower and break down below 60k probably, or at the very least sweep that area once again. So still, despite Monero being one of the stronger altcoins in the market, I still would be cautious with crypto in general, and with altcoins especially. And at the moment, I would probably avoid being heavy into altcoins. I would only get into some very selectively. Monero could definitely be one of them, but at the moment I would be still very cautious since it is still a very volatile altcoin. And also we are at this decision point. As I said, Monero is right at this crucial resistance area at around $410, so I will keep looking at it for the next few weeks. And of course, as I said, I will keep updating you guys as things unfold. If Monero can close a weekly candle above, let's say $420, 440 maybe even, then that could be a very positive sign and lead to it continue to rally much further. The next resistance area would be from this high, from all the way back in 2021. This is all the way up at around $510. And then after that, next resistance area is even much higher. And as I said before, we also have this support area at $300 if Monero does get rejected right here and starts dumping in the next few weeks. So these are the areas for us to look at for Monero. I think that it is also possible for Monero to just be ranging from around $300 to $400 for a while. So in the short term, it is obviously very hard to predict what is going to happen, but in the long term, I would probably expect Monero to continue to be one of the stronger altcoins, at least as long as it doesn't break down below $300. If it does get rejected right here at around $410 below this recent high, this would be a bit concerning since it would be a third lower high in a row. But even then, as long as it is continuing to create higher lows, I wouldn't get too concerned, and I would expect the overall trend to continue just like it has been for over a decade now. So yeah guys, that's going to be it for this video. Of course, none of what I said is financial advice. If you enjoyed this video and you want more updates about Monero as well as other altcoins and the rest of the crypto market in general, make sure to subscribe. Thank you for watching, and I will see you in the next one.